I mean, imagine you go all around the world and smash up everything that other civilizations built, loot what they built, pillage, steal, even steal their ideas and their concepts and their philosophies. And then you sit on top of this mountain of stolen goods and declare yourself to be rich because of your own merit. And imagine telling this lie to your children, to your own children, to your grandchildren, generation after generation. How do you think that's going to go? You didn't invest in creating actual merit. You cheated, you lied, you stole, you brutalized. And then you tell your own people that everyone else in the world has nothing and you have everything because of how much better you are than everyone else. How long is that lie sustainable? I mean, these are people who actually have civilizations, who actually created and built and accomplished and didn't just pillage and plunder. And there's still those people today, even though you have oppressed them, there's still those same people. And you're still the way you are. I mean, a good example actually is African Americans. I don't know if you can think of a people who were more held back, more deprived, more sabotaged than African Americans. You took everything away from them and took them away from everything. They started in your country at less than zero, literally regarded and treated as subhuman, not allowed to learn to read or write or anything for hundreds of years. But you see, they come from a people of accomplishment to one degree or another, not a people of piracy and theft and appropriation. They come from a people who created and built and developed in their own countries, in their own land. And even though you did everything that you could possibly do to support
a white passing mixed person, I hear racist stuff all the time. It's time to expose. Alright, so one time I was with this group of white people, and the girls were talking about this girl who had jungle fever. And this white girl goes, "Isn't it a shame to see our race mixing with another? What's going to happen to our white purity?" I couldn't believe what I just heard. There was another time where I was at a party, and the only other black person there left early. Right after he left, one of the white dudes there proceeded to say the N-word. Not even in a song or anything, just said it out loud. When I confronted him about it, he said, "What? He's not here anymore." Little did he know that I'm a double agent. Needless to say, that situation was handled. There was another time where we were talking about an opposing basketball team. We were talking about why the team was so good, and somebody goes, "They're only good because they let all the charity cases on the team." There were no white people on this team. I'm sure I'm not the only white passing person with these kinds of stories, so feel free to do it.
You know, it is high time somebody tells white America the truth. And we have bold white people that will come and speak the truth about their history and speak the truth about everything that they ever did, thinking that what they did was great. But at the end of the day, you flip the script and you tell them that this is the reality and this is who you are. Majority of white people don't want to accept the truth. They don't want to look at themselves. They don't want to look at themselves in the mirror, because looking at themselves in the mirror reminds them of who they really are. And trust me, history, don't forget, these don't go down easily in histories, because as time goes by, we get to realize all the pain, all the damage that white people has caused throughout the history. We can definitely see all the pain, all the damage that they have caused throughout the history. And so seeing the truth, seeing the reality of all these things makes us just question one thing. When will white people accept the truth? When will they accept the truth? When will they accept the reality? The reality that they have caused so much damage than good. They have erased all the good deeds that black people ever did. Somebody should remind them of their history. Somebody should remind them of where they came from. Sometimes you see some white folks talks and you see how shameless they are. Because you ask yourself, do these people really know what they're speaking about? Are they just speaking because they have the privilege of speaking? Somebody needs to talk about this. Somebody needs to call them out. And this is the time when we are seeing the reality. As reality comes out, we realize that they lied to black people and they lied about black people. Brothers and sisters, I want to switch this video and then I'll be back. I'll be sharing my thoughts in regards to this. So let's watch the video. I'll be back.
Growing up in the mountains of North Carolina, I was taught racism. From as young as I can remember, I was told black people are violent. Black people are lazy. Black people are not as smart as white people. I remember my dad told me that black people are too lazy to work, and so they depend on welfare to live, and they sell drugs. 10 minutes after my dad said that to me, a man knocked on the door. I let him in. He handed my dad some money. My dad weighed out some marijuana and a few pills and handed it to that gentleman. And then we went to the store to buy some groceries. We didn't buy groceries with the money that man just handed my father. It was little yellow, blue, and green food coupons. So my dad is trying to teach me that black people are drug dealers on welfare, while my dad was selling drugs out the living room, living on welfare. You see, he would tell me, son, I work very hard. I don't make enough money to provide for you kids, so that's why I sell these drugs. I just love you so much. And these food stamps, well, I pay my taxes, so I earn them. You see, the indoctrination begins at a very young age. We are taught without even knowing it, there are two Americas. Despite marijuana use with the black community and the white community at the same rate, the black community is arrested and convicted at a rate 3 times higher than white America. There are black Americans in prison right now serving 30 and 40-year sentences for marijuana, while corporations are becoming multi-billion-dollar businesses selling marijuana. There are two Americas. If a man broke in my house right now, and I shot that man in the back, albeit in my own house, I could not claim self-defense because I shot him in the back. But a police officer can shoot Jacob Blake in the back 7 times and still be at work. If that's okay with you, we are on different moral platforms. We are on different ethical existences if that's okay with you. There's two Americas. The America I grew up in says if you comply, everything will be okay. Well, for white America, that's true. But black America faces a very different reality. The use of force and the threat of the use of force is actually 4 times higher for police-initiated interactions. The America I grew up in will say, if you stop talking about racism, it'll go away. Well, for white America, that's true. Because as a white American, I don't have to think about my race. I'm not judged by my skin color as soon as a potential employer meets me. As soon as a loan officer meets me. As someone that's coming to appraise my home for sale, don't judge me by my skin color. As a white American, I can completely forget about my race and even racism, so long as nobody talks about it. So then in my world, it won't exist. Well, I've decided enough of that. I'm here to call white America to task. I'm here to tell white America it's time to stand the hell up. Beside our fellow human beings, beside our fellow citizens, and it's time for white America to be part of the solution. I was raised by racists. I was taught how to be racist. So you can quit telling me that racism doesn't exist. You're a damn liar. I was raised in the belly of the beast. I was raised by racists, and now they hate me. I call that a glow up. That's all right. I'm not here to speak for black America, over black America, at black America. I'm here to speak to and at white America, and I'm screaming, wake the hell up. White supremacy is woven into the very fabric of this country. White supremacy bleeds from every pore of this country. In schools, we have standardized testing, but we don't have standardized resources. We don't have standardized opportunities. In hospitals, a black woman is more likely to die during childbirth at a rate 3 times higher than that of a white woman. In neighborhoods, power plants and dumps are more likely to be put up by a predominantly black neighborhood than a predominantly white neighborhood. At home, 22% of black America lives in poverty, whereas only 9% of white America lives in poverty. White America loves black music, black trends, black culture, but kills black people at a rate 2.87 times higher than that of white people by the police. All of these things will not change unless we tear down, I'm going to say that again, unless we tear down the system of white supremacy that has built them into existence. We cannot fix the current system, for it is not broken. This system is working exactly as it was intended. Passing laws will not change it. You cannot legislate morality. Black America has screamed tirelessly for decades about these injustices, while white America has turned a blind eye and a deaf ear. Well, I'm here to say no more. Change is coming. Revolution is coming. It's time to open your eyes, white America. White people make up nearly 60% of the American population, and the overwhelming majority of them refuse to even admit that racism exists. They think that there's a conspiracy against them by the government with zero evidence, but ignore the obvious systemic racism and oppression against black America that's well documented. Well, I've made it my life's mission to call white America to task. Mr. Blake, Miss Austin, to all the families of victims of police brutality in this country, to all of those of you who wake up every day and deal with the system of white supremacy built to marginalize you, I say to you this one thing: I will stand with you. I will march with you. I will protest with you. I will fight with you. I will use my privilege and my platform to demand that white America stop ignoring this humanitarian crisis happening right here in America. So, white America, this is your choice. Either be part of the solution, or by God, you are the problem. No justice.
I've never told this story in a video. I've mentioned it on podcasts before, but I've never made a video and told the story. My mother, seen here, was 16 years old when I was born. My dad was 21. They'd been together since she was 14. So she was 14, he was 19 when they got together. You guys have heard me talk about my dad before. He was very racist. My mother will tell you the same. And my mother, being very young and uneducated, she just kind of went along with whatever my dad did. And he was also abusive. My mother was abused. And I talked to her before I made this video to make sure that she's okay with me telling that part of her story. My dad was a domestic abuser and also a child abuser. He abused me as well. That's not the point of this video, though. When I was 3 years old, my mother was 19. She found the courage to leave my dad, which wasn't easy to do. And the divorce was nasty because my dad he's passed away now, a pretty controlling, narcissistic type guy. And shortly after leaving my dad, my mother was in a relationship with another man who was a black man. And my dad being the racist. See, I was raised in the 80s in North Carolina, and my dad was a racist. So her leaving him for a black man was like this big taboo thing. Like, you don't do that. And so when everything went to court, my dad ultimately got custody of me because the judge in the 80s in North Carolina is not giving the child to the woman dating a black man, to the white woman dating a black man, especially when my dad was the one with the career and the income and the money, and my mom had nothing. He had left her with nothing. Fast forward to when I was 10 years old. During those 7 years after the divorce, my dad taught me to hate my mom. He taught me that she was a sinner, that the Bible did not approve of interracial marriages. He showed me in the Bible where the Bible says you can't marry outside your race. And I believed her to be basically of the devil himself. I hated her. When I was 10 years old, I found out that my dad was being taken to court because my mother was trying to get visitation rights. I was terrified. I didn't want to meet this evil woman. She won. She got visitation rights of me. I'll never forget ever to this day. I can still vividly remember where I was, the weather and everything when she picked me up the first time. I was terrified. But I made it my mission, that first visit, that she would never visit me again. I made that my mission, that she would never want to see me after this day. I called her a sinner. I called her children, because she had 3 children with her second husband. Obviously, they were biracial children. And I called her children the N-word. I called her an N-word lover. Now, keep in mind, I'm 10 years old. But this is how I was raised. This is what I believed at age 10. And she told me, you shouldn't think like this or talk like this. And I ignored her. It was like a 2-hour visitation, whatever it was. And then she dropped me back off at my house. And I told my dad, she'll never pick me up again, Dad, I promise you. 2 weeks later, when it was time for her next visitation, I waited in my yard on the Saturday at the time that I was supposed to be there. And I was sure she wouldn't pull up, but she did. She did pull up. I was befuddled. Oh my God, she came back. This time, she took me to her house in a mostly black neighborhood, and a place I had never been. I was raised on the mountain, all white neighborhood, very much racist. And I was told that black neighborhoods were crime-ridden, filthy areas. Avoid them. So I went to this black neighborhood and I thought, oh my God, oh my God. I went in her house and she said, I want you to meet your brothers and sisters. And they came out and they were so excited to see me because my mom had never told them a bad thing about me. And I wanted to be mean to them because that's how I was raised. But I couldn't. I couldn't bring myself to be mean to them because they were so nice and polite to me. I was not nice to them. I tolerated them in my mind, but I wasn't mean to them. And then every 2 weeks she came and got me. And over the course of time, I built a relationship with my siblings, with her. And I started questioning things like maybe the things my dad told me are not true, because what I see in this neighborhood, what I see in my mom's house, what I see everywhere is not what I was told. And I had a choice to make at the early age of about 11. Do I believe what I was raised, or do I challenge these ideas? And just like my mom had got away from my dad and challenged those ideas and grew and was better, I decided that I too can be better. I started challenging the ideas my dad raised me. It started a very tumultuous relationship with my dad, as if it wasn't tumultuous to begin with. Again, I was an abused child. I'm trying to keep this video short, so I'm missing a lot of very deep details, but I'm trying to give you the idea. By the time I was 15, I had read books and read the speeches of Dr. King and watched interviews with Malcolm X. And I really started realizing, like, there's a whole nother world out there that I didn't realize. Fred Hampton, Angela Davis, these things really opened my eyes. And I even basically got into a fight with my dad over it when I was 15 and was thrown out of my house. But my deconstruction process had begun, and it has continued for the past, 27 years. I'm 42 now. And it's all thanks to my mom, just being a mom, just showing up. And I've never had like the closest relationship with my mom because the story I just told you, but I've been friends with her now for, how old is that? 25 years. And, I just want to say thanks for showing up. Thanks for not giving up on me. I may have never challenged my ideas and beliefs and may have been stuck in the same trap that, I was born into, and I wasn't. So thanks, Mom.
Please understand that the miseducation of black people and the miseducation of white people about black people were done on purpose. It was systemic, calculated in every aspect of life. This is one of the main reasons why it's important for us influencers, right, to do the right thing. We have to undo 400 years of miseducation, 400 years of damage These people attacked us in every which way. They even prevented Norman Rockwell from presenting us in a good light. He had to paint black people as porters, subhuman and subservient, spaces. That's how he was forced to do it. Okay. And of course, we can go down the line because they wanted to present an image of black people to the world that we were less than human, 1/5 of a human being according to them. And it's up to us today to make sure we undo all this damage. And we have to make sure we educate our children at home because they're not teaching them properly in school. So a lot of y'all send your kids to school, you think they're being educated. No, they're not. Okay? They're being brainwashed. Okay? So it's up to us to change all of that, which is one of the main reasons why I want y'all to help me with Free Black World. Okay? Because we can't do it on their platform. They control these platforms that we use on a daily basis. And when we say the right thing, we get suspended. You understand? And the right thing is anything that attacks the status quo. And I do this on a weekly, daily basis here. My accounts have been suspended, banned, or whatever because white people live in lies. White people hate the truth. You understand? The more lie they spread, the stronger they think they are. You understand what I'm saying? Because they want their children to live this false sense of supremacy that doesn't really exist. It's called white fragility. So they have to lie about everybody else. They've always known the truth about us, but we don't know the truth about us. You understand what I'm saying? This is why we need to migrate. It'll take a while for us to undo 400 years of damage. Y'all have.
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you are doing great from wherever you're watching this video from. As you know, I'm your host and presenter Next Stories. It is always a good time to, have time to reflect and talk about all these things that are really important to the fabric of, Americans. White people need to be told the truth. They need to face accountability. They need to see the truth. That's what they need. Because at the end of the day, that's the reality of the matter. That's the truth of everything. Now, this is how the most white people were and still are being raised and miseducated. It's sad we black people are prisoners of war trying to survive behind enemy lies. And whites have been mentally manipulated and fed a historical false narrative so that they can continue the system of white people, of white perception of, white supremacy. If I was white, I'd be pissed off being lied to and misled, right? Somebody say that I see every day on everyone's faces on what's really happening in America. I can also feel it. I can also feel it through their energy as well. They can't hide who they are. We can't change them, but they need to be open to change themselves. God made us all. We are of all human race. No human is more important than the other in God's eyes. Somebody say that means that these companies need to stop systemic racism and treat all employees the same. Get rid of all these at will states unless the managers want to be on the line with the executive, working in the office, doing assembly and other things outside of their jobs. Right? Somebody say that America, it's a sad shame when we are ignorant to history and refuse to learn factual truths about one another and all racist hatred because our skin ain't keen. But many of us say we believe in the Almighty God, but hate our fellow men and women. It is really sad. Like, when you get to see what's really going on, right? Somebody said that white people support violence and hatred. That's all they know. Anytime they have a collective, it's always hate and violence. For someone else who is not white. Blacks support love and unity because anytime we have a collective, that's what's being pushed. Unity, love, support, support for everyone. How can you hate a group of people who only want you to mind your business and stay out of theirs? A group of people who support you living your life how you want to, when and where. They only ask you don't mess with how, when, and where they can and want to live their lives. How can you hate a group of people who want fairness? How? Right? Somebody also said that there was a time when our elder made sure we knew our true history. I remember growing up when schools honored Black History Month. They had multicultural weeks at school. When did this stop? As a Gen X, I understand my upbringing is definitely different. Even though I have children who are biracial, I made sure they understood all of their history, especially Black American history. They understood that America was the country that created and implemented the one-drop rule. The one-drop rule, however, racism runs deep in the US and they perfected systemic racism. It's even more prevalent today with diaspora wars. People from other countries are so brainwashed, they refuse to listen. If people took the time to actually notice that some people from other countries, especially the diaspora, all repeat the same rhetoric as white supremacists, it's not a coincidence. It was designed that way, especially for POCs, that people of colors. They don't want us to come together. They know if we do, we will outnumber them. This is the reason our history has been halted and whitewashed, right? Somebody said that everything England owns was stolen from Africa, and they are proud of someone else's work. That throne the king sit on belongs to Nigeria. Give it back to thieves. I will feel shame for stealing someone else's work and taking credit for it. But no, these people, now America is showing the whole world its true colors. Racism, if it was a color, right? Somebody said that FBA denounced the title African American. We are not Africans. We are Black Americans, better known as the Lost Tribes. We've been removed from the continent 600 plus years and still counting. FBA claim no country in Africa. Tell them again, for those ones who just got off the little short yellow bus, the powers that be runs this country, they know exactly who we are. That's why they're constantly trying to erase who we are. They also knew some of my people is just now finding out. I find the real truth in my able class of 2013. So brothers and sisters, please let me know what you'll think about this, right? As you know, I'm your host and present Tech Stories, but until then, let me see you on my next video. Until then, peace, love, and harmony. Salute.